Central District. I work at Homeward Bound as the program lead for the team that works with clients who live in public housing. And before that, I worked at the Rate Crisis Center here in town, Our Voice, for a couple of years. I've been here 3 going on 4 years now. So I'm really excited to get more involved in the community.
I'm Shauna McDowell. I'm a member at large and currently the vice chair. I own my own bakery and have been on the board almost a year and a half, maybe. Yeah.
I'm Allison Scott. I'm a member at large. I've been on the board for a little over a year. I'm the director of policies and programs at the Campaign for Southern Quality based here in Asheville. I'm a native of Asheville, a little older than a lot of people guess. So I've been here for a number of a few decades, and been involved with Asheville City and policing and just community involvement for a long time.
I'm Cliff Johnson. I'm retired. I've been here, I've lived in Asheville only for 18 years. I'm a damn Yankee. And I think by now, they tell me that the first 2 years they just called me a Yankee, but after 2 years when I decided to stay, they called me a damn Yankee. But I've been on the count on this for 5 years, and I just signed up for another 2. So, anyway.
Well, guys, I'm Blake Marcus. I just moved to Asheville about 4 years ago with my wife, Leah. She's actually from Hendersonville. I work as a criminal defense attorney, so I'm on that side of things. And with Minnick Law Firm, I work pretty much 5, 6 counties in West Carolina. This is a really good opportunity for me to kind of get back to the community. You know, I work on one side of the field. I kind of want to work on the other side of the field too, especially, you know, working with police officers and trying to fix what we can. So I'm really excited to be here and meet everyone today.
Shannon, do you want to do the poll? You want to say Shannon? I'm sorry.
You say Shannon.
Do you want to do the call to order and prove that you're actually the vice? Okay.
I don't.
Did everybody get a chance to look over the minutes, the meeting minutes from the past 3 months on the email?
I did.
I know everybody wasn't here for that, but did anybody have any objections or things to say about that, or can we approve that?
Well, I think there were, one of our previous members actually emailed, said that there were some disparities in those notes, but I don't know how that's gonna affect us moving forward. There's a reorganization in the board and whatever we're doing right now anyway, but
Okay, I never.
just wanted that notice.
Okay.
I don't know if you procedurally can vote on what is a quorum?
You can, so think of the board as a living body, and that, being that the members are different, the minutes still carry forward. So you can't make changes to any minutes that you weren't here for, but you can approve them.
But only 3 people who actually were present at those meetings.
And if they can go ahead and approve them, but people who were not here cannot make any changes.
But that's the point, there wasn't 3 people who were at those meetings.
Oh, for a forum?
Yeah, that are here currently, because I know I was one of those, and Cliff wasn't here for medical, so we don't have 3 members that were present at those meetings, so.
So it wasn't a technical meeting,
Right.
but you did meet, is that what?
So there was not a quorum in attendance.
There was not a quorum in attendance, that's what we're saying, is, we can't vote by those rules.
So not technical meetings, we won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can't approve.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
By Robert's rules,
Um,
we can't do that.
Now, is my understanding that one of them did have a quorum, is that
3 ago.
3 ago, and we approved those meetings, minute meetings?
After 3 meetings ago, there
It was-
still wasn't 3 people at that meeting that's present right now on this board.
With those rotating.
Not present now, but at that time, at that meeting, was there quorum for it to be an official meeting?
I think there were.
Yeah, 3 meetings ago, there were, according to.
Yeah, they don't, so there has to be a quorum present
Yes.
at the meeting, but that, the vote don't necessarily have to be representatives quorum to vote on the previous meeting.
Right.
So that's what we're saying. So-
Yeah, but we can approve the ones for 3 meetings ago, which would be, what, May?
May second, and there was
Yeah.
5 people here at that
So we
point.
can approve those, but not the other two, so.
Alright.
I'll make that motion to approve May second meeting minutes. Do I have a second? Sean seconds. Anyone opposed? Okay.
Let me raise a question. As far as the June 6th meeting, Larry is not here. I contacted him. He had no objections to the minutes. Carol is here as a guest.
I think the point is that there wasn't a quorum at those meetings, so it wasn't a formal meeting to take minutes
Yes.
for.
Yeah.
So the only one that we can really record minutes that for an actual meeting was the May 2nd. Does that make sense? Although we conducted a meeting, it wasn't a formal meeting because we didn't have a quorum on June and July.
I got you.
So reflecting those minutes is not appropriate.
So we have approved May second meeting minutes.
I'm sorry, did everyone approve,
Yes.
support the approval of May 2nd minutes?
Okay, everybody, we got positive approval, so yes.
Approved
Okay.
minutes.
The next order will be on
The
business.
board is.
I approved it.
All right.
Wait, you're gonna do the one.
It doesn't.
Yeah, and there again, I'm sorry, I kind of put the cart before the horse. Each other, I appreciate that. And Lieutenant Everhart, he's not really on this committee, but he was filling in for Lieutenant Lamb when he was out of place for a while, so. And he's already got a head start on the National Night Out, so he's out of pocket today. Hopefully you'll see some of the neighborhoods we go to later today. So with that, once again, I'm Deputy Sheriff's Department, I've been there 20 some odd years, 27 years, something like that. Been involved with this for probably a little longer than you, probably about 10 years, I guess, as far as serving with the CPAC committee. So I've seen ebbs and flows and different iterations of the committee. I think it has a great opportunity, glad to see some new faces and hopefully get get it invigorated again to where we have some purpose, moving us forward as an individual, purpose moving forward as a group. Appreciate that, and just for the police department, I know I missed the last meeting, I was out of pocket as well. As far as overviews, we've done some restructuring with us as far as shifting, reassigning several lieutenants and new district commanders, so, all of our patrol districts all have new lieutenants now, so, Adam District, Mike has left, and we now have Lieutenant Jackie Stebb. Baker District, which is west, I'm sorry. Baker District, which is south and east, is now acting Lieutenant Mike McClanahan, who's replacing, Jonathan Brown, Lieutenant Jonathan Brown, who's going to our, CID Special Ops unit. Charlie District is Lieutenant Joe Silverman, who's replacing, Lieutenant Chuck Sanders. So that's central, Missouri. And then, let's see, CID, you have, Gary Gudak is now it's actually CIS Ops Support. And Gudak is our captain over that. Lieutenant Sean Hardeman is lieutenant. Jonathan Brown's been mentioned, and then, who's traffic? Chuck Sanders is going to traffic. And professional standards is Joe Sorrells. Mike's going to be recruitment, career development, or training. And is that, Jeffrey Rollins is our XO. And, Don Everhart is acting captain over the administrative division, and Captain Reese Young, who had retired a couple years ago, has came back on an interim basis to be over patrol until we conduct some promotional processes in the future. So plugging some holes to move, make sure we're able to move it forward. So hopefully that's an update for where we're at. The roster should be available online.
If you go on our website, Callan C. I'm the public information officer for the police department.
You mind repeating that, the website again?
It's asheville.nc.gov/police.
Thank you.
Probably we can just, Julie to email it out to the group as well, so everyone has that link.
Sure.
All right, as I mentioned earlier, we have the National Night Out event going on tonight at several different locations. Wilshire Park, Malvern Hills, both at West Asheville, and then, the new one this year is Knollwood, which is off of Starmont Drive, which is up beyond, behind Kmart on Baton Avenue. In Hall Creek, Hall Creek. Charlie Bolden Park, Beverly Hills, 32 Fairway, Kenilworth Forest, at Louis Forest Park, and then, Shiloh at the Linwood Crump Sports Complex. Oakley at the Oakley Elementary Park, South Range Broad is at the, South Road Street. Everyone familiar where that is, the little short street?
Which one's canceled?
Asheville Mall. Then Asheville Housing Authority is going to be conducting, hosting one at, Watts Park. And then, Sunset Park on the north end, of Shady Park Lane, off the north end. So, a few to hit, and if you've never done it before, I know there's been a couple different committees that we've, attended, never really had some professional out. It's a good, opportunity for neighborhoods to, get out and meet their neighbors if they haven't already done so, and to interact and discuss, things going on in the neighborhood as far as safety, as well as just interact with the law enforcement. And usually you'll have various other, law enforcement show up, and even fire, safety, parking safety personnel as well. But it's a great opportunity to interact, and it's just a real informal event. Usually a lot of food going on with each of them to interact and get to know the officers that work the area. And, usually on these, our command staff will be roaming around the city as well. And I know for the city this year, several of the city council members and several of the, city, manager's office are gonna be rolling around as well, so it'll be a good opportunity to meet some folks. So with that, if there's any questions for me, I'll entertain, otherwise I'll turn it over to, Sarah. Presentation. And I will probably plug out at some point in time.
Could I ask a question that relates to an issue that came up at a prior meeting?
Sure.
Kathy Ball and, the police chief were working on the city council policy resolution. What's the status of that?
Still in process.
Still in process? Any target?
To be honest, I don't have a projected timeline, but I know they are working on it, and they're working with some of our employee groups and some other that being BDA, FOP, and the city hall, and the, city manager's office, and the chief are working on those.
Okay. Thank you.
But I do not have a timeline.
All right. My name's Sarah Twilliger. I am the deputy city clerk, in the city of Asheville. I work closely with boards and commissions, especially during the appointment process, so my name may sound familiar as far as most of you just went through that process. Oops. What? Sorry. Is it not? Oh, okay. Well, Citizens Police Advisory Committee. You'll hear me say CPAC, board, committee interchangeably throughout this. The committee was first created in 1991. That is the resolution that you should have in front of you. There has been several amendments revising that resolution since, but only changing the structure. So it's the structure you see today with the various representatives. As far as the establishing duties, that has remained the same. So I think that's on the But, please do get familiar with these duties, because this is the reason the committee was created. Again, it is an advisory board, meaning that you make recommendations, and long and short-term goals to the city council. Here's the current makeup. We have a lot of new members. As you can see, we have representatives from the various districts. We do have one vacancy right now, that is for the Housing Authority property resident. So if you do know anyone interested, please encourage them to apply. It is currently being advertised. Or you can send them my way and I'd be happy to tell them more information. So that is the one vacancy right now. Orientation booklet. Anything I'm going to cover today is in a lot more detail in this orientation booklet. For our new members, it was in your appointment letter that just went out to you, but it can be found anytime on the Boards and Commissions main page. So again, please take a look at that. It kind of gives you a better overview of city structure as well as the budget process and boards and commissions in general. Staff support. We do have two main staff supports that will be here. The management staff liaison, Lieutenant Lamb, as we talked about. He has been designated by the department director on behalf of the city manager to help as far as the resources and policies for you guys, as well as help the board stay within their scope, and may provide technical assistance, especially as far as the law enforcement side. Administrative staff liaison, Julie, there in the back. I know you've all corresponded with her. Her responsibility is to post the agenda, keep the website updated so all the minutes, support materials are all posted online and current. She keeps attendance as well as set up the meeting coordination, as you've seen. And she works closely with me in the city clerk's office to ensure that all of our meetings are properly noticed. It is important to note that both staff liaisons do not work for the board, they're here to support and guidance for the board. Role of the chair, which we will talk more about as far as that election process. But if you are interested in serving in this role, note that it is a very important role that presides over all meetings, ensures the work of the board is being accomplished, maintains control and order of the meeting. So this may be eliminating any unproductive or off-topic conversations to really keep the board on track and moving forward. The board chair also approves all reports and agendas before being sent out. If this is something you're interested in, I would also encourage you to, or even if you're not, look at the chair handbook, which is also on the Boards and Commissions main webpage. It is more detailed information and also kind of like tips on how to facilitate a board meeting. Council liaison. Your councilman liaison is Keith Young. He kind of serves as that direct communication link between you guys as the committee and city council. So meaning he will inform city council of any short or long-term initiatives that you guys might be considering, as well as inform you guys of any long-term initiatives or policies council's considering. So he's that direct communication link. He's not required to attend all meetings, but he should be receiving all agendas, minutes, and correspondence so he can stay current with the board activities. And also this role, the council liaison should not play an active role in deliberations, but is kind of here more as a support and can provide guidance as far as procedurally. All right. Here's some just very general guidelines that all boards and commissions for the city must follow. First and foremost, in my eyes, is open meetings law, which means that all of your meetings must be properly noticed, the opportunity for the public to attend, meaning it should be accessible. Official meeting minutes should be taken for your meetings. As far as properly noticed, I work closely with staff to ensure that your regular meeting schedule has been noticed, but if you should have a special meeting, which today is, anything outside of that regular scheduled time, place, or date, that does need to be specially noticed, and I work with Julie to ensure that happens. I should note that needs to go out at least 48 hours in advance, so be conscious of that. Electric meetings are prohibited. This means anytime that you have a quorum or more on a electronic email string, that could be considered an electronic meeting and it's not accessible and therefore prohibited. So avoid the reply all. Try to keep all of your board meeting discussion topics in the open meeting.
What is a quorum?
Right now you have 8, so it's 5.
And if you fill the next position, we have 9.
remain 5, just because of the majority. Which I will, right here, quorum. A quorum is required for your hold your meetings, which is the 5 currently and will be the 5 that vacancy. If you do not have a quorum, and note this moving forward, there shouldn't be any deliberations or conversations taking place. The chair should cancel that meeting right there. So note that moving forward, no conversations at that point. Best practice is to ensure that we have, that members can attend prior to the meeting so we can ensure that we can have a meeting.
Are you saying that 4 people can't get together to discuss something?
Not board related. Socially, sure. But anything that's CPAC, as far as the advisory board, no. Is that right? Any questions? Attendance is also required, pursuant to the boards or rules for all boards and commissions. You are required to attend at least 75% of held meetings.
Can we go back up to that point? There's a couple questions, like, you were talking a long time ago about meeting ahead of time, to maybe figure dates or agenda items. What was the amount of people that could do that? Is that 4 or?
Sorry, I don't follow. What was it?
Okay, if a couple people wanted to email in terms of agenda items, like the chair and the vice chair, maybe how many people can email or meet ahead of time that's not?
For administrative, figuring details out, you'd need less than a quorum.
Yeah, I thought it was 4 or less, as long as you don't achieve your quorum, it's not like a meeting, you can discuss any items that you want to, but if you have 5, then it would violate the rules because it wasn't publicly posted.
It turns into an
So
official
4 or
meeting.
less, we can talk about agenda items. If you
4,
wanna add something.
yes.
Right.
So technically, yes, as far as you don't have a quorum.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying. I didn't,
Thank you.
yeah.
I'm confused on, do I have 2 different opposing answers?
Yes, because I messed up. If you have 4 or less, you can discuss among yourselves.
Without a public notice.
Without a public notice. Now, when we do get that quorum, that becomes the official meeting. My apologies, I really messed that up. So note that in, as far as your electronic meetings as well. Inclement weather, hopefully that's a ways away, but do note that anytime that Asheville City Schools are canceled, that all boards and commission meetings for that day shall also be canceled. We'll do our best to get the word out as soon as we can, but do know that. And then finally, members should represent themselves unless you've been authorized by the board to represent the board as a whole. Did I hit it? Ethical behavior. Board members are required to abide by all applicable rules and laws regarding boards and commissions. Very briefly, this means that you may not solicit or accept gifts in connection with your board service, use city facilities, personnel, equipment, or supplies for private purpose, and you also cannot vote in matters in which you have a conflict of interest. Note that conflicts could involve definitely financial, personal, or occupational. I know that there's some gray areas there, so if you do have questions, please consult. Start with your staff liaison, but also the city attorneys, because often that will be a legal question. If you do know that you have a conflict of interest on a matter, it is your responsibility to bring that to the attention of the board. If you should be recused on that matter, you should not deliberate or vote on that matter, of course. And this is just to ensure that all of you guys as members are fair and impartial for all the things that come before you. I do want to note that as board members, you do have a duty to vote, so you can't just abstain, unless, of course, you've been recused for a conflict. Rules of procedure. It's my understanding the board doesn't currently have rules of procedure, so I would highly recommend getting some in place. I do have a template that I'll provide Julie. It's just kind of a go by, but you guys will go through that, see what the board needs, and supplement that as needed. So these are just, yeah, questions?
I'm sorry, I thought on the boards and commissions website, it actually states that all commissions go by Robert's rules unless they vote to change that.
So that's the default.
Yeah, that's the default, so that's what we're operating under. I just wanted
Yeah.
to make that clear, that's what we're operating under right now.
Yes,
Robert's
currently,
rules. Right.
if that's something you guys want to talk about, if you want to change that, that is an option.
Right.
So again, this is something very specific to your guys' needs. Of course, it can't be in any conflict with the rules and procedures for for all boards and commissions that's been adopted by council and or any applicable state laws. If you have questions there, I'm happy to help. Some things that your rules and procedures might address, I would highly recommend how and when you elect your officers, which we'll talk about, member rules, meeting format, procedures, what your public comment looks like, and what, if you have any subcommittees. Annual reports. All boards and commissions are required to do an annual report every year. This goes to city council. It just highlights the main things that city council needs to know as far as what you guys are working on and what you intend to work on. This allows them to really see what's going on and to give some feedback there. As you'll see, this is at the beginning of the year, so it's kind of just in time for right before they held their annual retreat, and so good for them to look at what all boards and commissions are doing. Around October, November, I'll send a reminder, as well as a template. Try to keep it short and sweet, so they'll read it. 1 to 2 pages, and then really highlight these main things. All right, so that was very brief. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer questions. I don't know if today we want to talk about the election of your chair, or if it's something you guys want to think about. Provided this new information, I know it's a lot of your first meeting, and then elected the following meeting. Definitely up to you guys as a committee. I don't know if you had any thoughts coming in, or something you want to think about.
I think that it should be at least next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should wait too.
Okay, so something to think about. What I would recommend is, if you are interested, bringing that up at the beginning of the next meeting, and then having something on the agenda at the end of the meeting to elect.
That brings up a question, actually. If we decide as a group that we want to either hold an election for the position next meeting or discuss that position next meeting, how are we supposed to do that? Because the agenda is supposed to be put together by the chair. So how are we gonna?
That's a really good question. In the interim, staff will be putting that together, and it will essentially be the structural formatting, putting the bones together of this committee.
Would it not go through the vice chair in lieu of, or could?
Not necessarily, I mean, yes, it would if you're, I didn't know if you were still interested in serving as that.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have a lot of things on my plate right now, and I honestly do not know. That's something that I
So,
But are you willing to serve as vice chair?
That's what she said. She was. Would you? Do we want to discuss both positions next meeting? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we should do both. I agree with that.
Okay. So that's
Sounds
something
good
we
to me.
can discuss.
so both are up for election at the next meeting. That sounds.
Is it up for election, are we discussing the electing?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Do we
because
want to come?
I would feel uncomfortable voting for anyone, and that would just be my second meeting.
Yeah.
You know, I wanna see where people stand and what's going on with this
Yeah.
committee before I choose to vote for anybody, so that would be too fast for me.
And just thinking off the spitballing here, you could do an interim chair, someone who will facilitate in the interim, and then have a date in which you will hold your official for, a year's length or what you.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
That way you got someone who's filling that role,
Right.
but they're not tied to it.
Right.
Some procedure.
Yes.
Yeah. Sounds good. Is everybody okay with the interim chair person filling in?
I am.
I'm fine.
And I would definitely say a date, 3 months, I don't know what you're thinking, but have a date that you will hold an election for that official person, chairperson.
Right.
Yeah. So we could maybe, so we could do that now. We could do an interim chair and just say that the interim chair will hold that position until we decide on the vote for the chair.
Okay.
Well, not set a date, but then set the date for the next meeting, like start thinking about the date.
So I'm the chair and vice chair, I guess I'll go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
Sarah,
yeah,
could you email copies of those slides to all of us?
absolutely. Yes, I should have done that before, but yes, you guys will all get a, email of this presentation. And then as always, please reach out to me if you have questions.
set the agenda, so Mike doesn't, we don't have any say in this,
No.
in the agenda, period. We're not even involved until we get it pushed out, but if you're just talking about his or our
Maybe it's
participation.
my interpretation, but just looking at that slide is what I was looking at.
And I see what you're saying, because it was under the management staff liaison.
Okay.
What I've seen with CPAC is that Julie is putting together together everything with the chair, and I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, typically.
So that's the way it rolls
Yeah,
out.
by the rules, you wouldn't have any, they can't, I mean, they're non-voting, non-open members, so they have no input in the agenda. They get the agenda when everyone gets the agenda, but then the agenda is set by the actual voting members of the CPAC.
And historically, my position has been basically informational as far as crime statistics, anything that's happening within each geographical area, any concerns, also any complaints, have been funneled through me to the department. And also typically there's always been either the chief or a deputy chief or one of the captains, so it's not only me here also. But if you notice, the agenda's always been a generic, here's
Oh, yeah.
new business, future business, old business, call to order. So there's never really been any direction as far as trying to drive a certain agenda. It's just been the generic outline, and then, we go through the meeting and then into public comments, so.
But I do think that's a valid point, to make sure that we have who the true logistical liaison is for this group, and that would be Julie. The title may be a misnomer, because the APD liaison is just that, it's to field questions, is what that's for, so.
That's more informational.
Right.
Yes.
Shannon, was your, expanding on what you were doing, inquiry was there, do you have a concern about if somebody happens to come in with a complaint about a particular officer or some sort of a complaint, do you want to have the police department representatives here during the hearing of that complaint?
Well, they have to go to the actual department to file their complaints. So I think if we had that here, it may kind of put us and put the committee kind of in a.
Well, I can see where a person might have a complaint and feel uncomfortable
Right.
rendering that complaint in the presence of the police officers at the meeting, but, is that a
I think we've gotten
concern?
over that.
Pardon?
I think we've cleared that hurdle pretty much as far as some of the incidences that have happened in the community, and we've still had community members come in and say, this was my experience. Even in
Okay.
community meetings, we've had people, while the news would say, this is my experience.
Okay.
So that's it for me, but, okay. Julie?
Another thing on there was discussing, dates, times, locations, frequency of future meetings. We've been doing it, first Wednesday of the month, except when certain things happen, like July 4th and stuff like that. Do you guys wanna stick with that at least for now? Maybe next time if you wanna think about a different time, cause normally it's at 5, right? Today was a little earlier, different things like that, but, if you wanna think about options.
Yeah, I propose, if y'all are agreeable to it, that we, set the next one, and then again, discuss this. If we're going forward to set the meeting time, if that sounds okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
The only thing I would be concerned about, the public is mostly, they're aware that we've been meeting on the first Wednesday of every month. If we change that date, there might be some confusion that arises, but,
It would need to be properly noticed, so, we would do our best to ensure that all interested parties are aware, and be on the website, I would, send out something to our sunshine list, which is anyone who's reached out to me or the city clerk regarding any interest in Asheville city government. So it will go far, and we will do that at least 7 days in advance. So,
Can I just get a clarification? I know you all were talking about an interim, chair. Was that ever decided?
Yes, I think we said we were gonna see about it,
Yeah,
we agreed on getting interim chair.
Yeah, I have 2 items that we need to decide before we leave here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, was the interim chair
Yes.
and the next meeting
The
with
next
David.
meeting, yes.
Those are the 2 things that we need to decide before we leave tonight.
everybody make that day?
They just voted on it, so.
Can I ask a question? Are meetings typically held here in this space?
We
Has
have
it moved around?
quarter
We have to decide that.
offsite at a community, but
Yeah, typically we do it every month here, and then we were doing one a quarter offsite in the community, as a way to do
Like
community.
rotating different
Yeah,
centers?
yeah, and that's the kind of thing that we, you know, think about going forward. South was the last one we did, yeah, over, yeah,
at the rec.
yeah, at the red park over there, so that's been the point. And again, everybody can, and I recommend everybody, think about some agenda items, you know, you don't have to vote on them, but think about that for our next meetings, the format, think about if you wanna be the chair or run for the vice chair, either position, and generally just think about this whole council as it goes, and maybe look back at some of the meeting minutes in the past and then follow back, so you can kind of see what we've done before. You know, there's been some things that work, and there's been some things that suddenly did not work. So I recommend that everyone take the time to do that before next meeting. I will send out an email, since I'm the interim chair, and I will blind copy, just so everybody knows, I will blind copy everyone in, because it's not been done in the past, and it would have been considered a quorum before. I will blind copy everyone in to respond to me with agenda items. Then I will send out again as a blind copy everybody a proposed agenda. And depending on those responses, then I will mail that out and talk to, Julie as the, make sure we've got that as the agenda.
All right.
So,
Thank you, Johnson.
no problem. And we can adjourn, we're gonna move for an adjournment, or y'all just wanna sit
Can I-
down and talk some more, or?
Can I double check my notes on that? So the first motion, to have, a chair and vice chair in place by October date, was that by Sean?
Yeah, it's
And
not
then-
Sean.
And the second one, a motion for Allison to be interim chair, was that by Blake?
To lose by Sean too.
Yeah, she made the motion, and it was seconded by Blaine.
Correct.
And we had all in favor on both those things, and our third item was for the next meeting, October fifth, 5 o'clock here. September, not October, I written down for that one. September fifth, here in this room, 5 o'clock, and, that was
I think
seconded.
Michael said.
I did, I seconded it.
Yeah, Michael seconded, and we had all in favor, again, of all members here, obviously, except for Gene.
Before we adjourn, I'd like to thank Carol for coming to this meeting. Carol was on this committee for 6 years. Was in-
7 years, not a day short, 7 years.
And they went like that.
She was really an invaluable contributor at our meetings, and thank you, Carol, for coming today. Are there any updates or comments that you would like to make for the audience?
I just look forward to the opportunity to join you in the future and share my observations as we go. Right, Wade?
We will take that into consideration. We will take that into consideration as we decide
Thank
on
you,
public
Madam Chair.
administration. And just to be completely fair, before we move for adjournment, we do have a couple more public members here. Does anyone have any comments that they'd like to add before this meeting is adjourned?
No.
I'd like also.
This meeting went really smooth. It's nice to see.
Yeah. All right.
Jackie.
That's a nice fact.
And for also, I'd like to, know that, this is the first day, I think, that Mike has been back on duty. Mike was a victim of an assault and has been out of duty for quite some time. And welcome back, Mike.
Thank you, Cliff. I really appreciate it. And thank y'all for all the cards and thoughts and calls that I got whenever I was interim, so I really appreciate that. It's wonderful support from the board, so thank you very much.
Oh, I move for adjournment. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor? All agree?